One of the most complicated concepts for folks to learn when they first start collecting coins, or when they are doing that, crossing that bridge that I talk about between stacking and collecting, is the concept of luster. And we're going to take a deeper look at luster in an upcoming episode of the World of Coin Collecting. But I wanted to put this out. I've been asked this question several times recently. If I can help people kind of determine what is and what isn't luster, how to identify luster. And that's what I'm going to try to do here in this video. If you are new to the channel, my name is C. Whitecross. You can call me White. I answer to just about anything. And if you are coming to this channel for the first time, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel, become part of this community, and hopefully if you have questions like this, you'll find that we already have videos in the can that will address those questions, and if not, maybe I can make a video that will address whatever question it is you had. So this video is just going to be kind of a short primer on the idea of luster. Luster, really briefly, is exactly what it sounds like. It is the shine that a coin can have. Now, the difficult thing about luster is that you have to try to determine what is luster and what is the surface of a coin that has potentially been cleaned. In other words, a cleaned coin can have characteristics that look like luster. And a clean coin is usually something that a third-party grader won't grade, and it is often a coin that real hardcore coin collectors don't want. Again, we don't clean coins. And this is exactly why. A coin that is harshly clean can appear to be very bright white, is what we would call it in the coin community. We're looking for that really, really brilliant shine of a coin. But that is different from luster. Luster moves with a coin. It moves across the surface of a coin. And I've got some examples I'm going to show you. We're going to look at a peace dollar. We're going to look at a Mexican 5 peso. And we'll also look at a Morgan dollar. These are really good examples of coins that can have luster under the right circumstances. And those are coins that are freshly minted, coins that have been circulated very, very lightly or not at all. These are the kinds of coins where you are most often going to see luster. And I've got these examples specifically because luster is easiest to pick out, in my opinion, on silver coins. So let's jump in and take a look at it. This is a 1928 peace dollar. And if I had to guess on the Sheldon scale, this is probably somewhere around 25 or 30. So this would be a very fine, not quite extremely fine. But you can see that this coin is really all kind of one color across its surfaces. Now this is a tricky thing, and I'm going to try to illustrate this the best that I can. This color is kind of a gray color. And when I move the coin in light, it really doesn't change the color very much. It's not adding anything. It still looks like that kind of gunmetal gray color. Obverse and reverse the back of the coin. And you'll also notice as I move it through the light, there are no radiant marks. There's no luster that radiates from the middle of the coin outward. And that's what we're going to be looking for in that uncirculated version of this coin. You'll see those radiant lines start kind of in the middle and they go out towards the edges of the coin, and then they make kind of a bicycle spoke pattern. I talk about spokes all the time. That's what I'm talking about. You'll see them radiate from the middle of the coin out, and when you move the coin, those spokes will go around the outside of the coin in this fashion. They'll radiate out from the middle, and they will follow around the edges of the coin. So this is a more circulated version of this peace dollar. It's possible this coin had been cleaned at some point in the past, but compare it to the luster of this uncirculated example. Can you see those the luster of this coin as it moves through light? It changes color. And that's the color that I was talking about. Now, if you're uninitiated and you're trying to think, well, I'm not seeing greens, I'm not seeing reds, I'm not seeing blues. That's not really what I'm talking about. You can see that here on Liberty's cheek and through the In God We Trust right here, that's almost a white color. Do you see that? While the rest of the coin is kind of this darker silver color. Now watch these spokes that start kind of in the middle of the coin and radiate out as they move through light. You can see those kind of go around the edge of the coin. There's a good example there in front of Liberty's face. Hopefully you can see this here. That's one of those spokes, and you see how it's going up and down with the light? That's radiating out from the middle of the coin, and it's making those lustrous lines go all the way around the outside of the coin. Same is true on the piece dollar on the back. Now, piece dollar is not the greatest example of these lusters. This luster, sometimes we call it an X because you can see almost there's a line here and a line here. And you can see those lines kind of vibrate back and forth as you turn the coin in the light. That's an example of a lustrous piece dollar. So comparing the two again, you've got one coin that has been worn and is kind of the same gunmetal gray color all the way across. You can see this lustrous example changes from a brilliant bright white to a dark, dark silver color as I move it in the light. And those spokes that radiate out from the middle follow around like the hands on a clock almost as they move around the outside of the coin. Take a look at this Mexican piece here. This is probably my most worn example of the 5 peso. You know that I talk about the 5 pesos a lot, in particular this Cuauhtémoc example, one of my all-time favorite silver coins. Again, it's kind of a gunmetal gray color all the way across, and even when I shift it in the light, those spokes don't appear, or if they appear very, very faintly. It's really the same gunmetal gray color all the way across the surface of the coin, no matter what I do in the light. Now we'll compare that to an uncirculated example so you can see the difference between the two. See those spokes radiating out from the middle and following around the outside of the coin. It doesn't matter what direction I move it, those spokes will follow around the outside of the coin, floating across the surface. If a coin is super brilliant uncirculated, sometimes we talk about it having depth, and that luster can go pretty deep into the surface of the coin. Cleaning a coin or using a coin in circulation often strips this luster. Again, sometimes it's called mint bloom, and that's because a coin that has just been minted often has this kind of luster, and it seems to almost radiate light from the middle of it in that kind of bloom pattern. This is a good example of those spokes radiating from the middle and going towards the outside of the coin. You can see they go back and forth as the coin moves through light. A really nice example of a lustrous 5 peso coin from Mexico. And then finally, we'll take a look at a Morgan dollar. This one, not quite so well worn as the other examples, the worn examples. This one on the Sheldon scale, probably in that 45 range. So it has a little bit of that cartwheel. You can see those spokes just barely appearing between the letters on E pluribus also. You can see there's just a little bit of extra shimmer. There we go. Really, really good. That's luster. But this coin has been circulated a little bit on the Sheldon scale, probably a 45 to 50, somewhere in there, maybe about uncirculated in that 50 range. So it has just a little bit of luster, and you can see just a little bit of those spokes going around the outside in the right light. It's hard to make it appear, but you get the idea. That's what a coin looks like that is maybe not quite so heavily circulated, still has just a little bit of luster. But compare it to this uncirculated example here of the Morgan dollar. You can see again the color change from that brilliant bright white to the dark, dark silvery color, and again those spokes that radiate from the middle of the coin out towards the edges and move around like hands on a clock. That's an example, really good example there of luster. You see those spokes going back and forth and back and forth. Luster, a really nice example of luster on this Morgan dollar. It splits into many different spokes on the back of this dollar, but you can see them back and forth, almost like scissors here at the top, cutting back and forth, back and forth. That's a great example of luster. So again, don't feel bad if you are kind of new to trying to picking out what luster is. It is a difficult concept to get. It's not a guarantee that a coin hasn't been cleaned, and the really tricky part is when a coin has been cleaned, especially when a coin has been dipped, and there are certain chemicals that you can dip a coin in that will strip the luster off of a coin but make the coin seem very shiny. So determining the difference between shiny and luster is one of the most difficult things to do for a coin collector. Shiny is fine as long as it's not artificially induced, as long as you haven't stripped the delicate original surfaces of a coin off to get to that shiny. But what we really want to see is that luster, that mint bloom that just makes the coin look as if it's got an internal light on the inside of it that is just glowing. That's luster. That's what we really want to see. So just a beginning primer to the concept of luster. Again, I will be covering luster and tone and all sorts of other aspects of coins later in the the mini video series that I have, but especially those World of Coin Collecting series. If you have questions about luster, if it's still not making sense to you, again, visit a local shop, visit a local coin show, ask them for examples that are lustrous, and then compare them, especially if you can compare them to examples that have been worn. You can really start to pick up those bicycle spokes that radiate from the middle of the coin outward. If you'd like to have me shoot videos on any other specific topics that you are struggling with, I would be happy to. If I've got the examples and the knowledge, go ahead and leave a message down below and I'll see if there's something I can do. Remember that if you're asking these questions, there is almost certainly somebody else who has these same questions, and maybe you can help out the community in general by making a request like that. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as you go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.